Okay.
So yeah. Now, in that said, yeah, here in the Bible Belt, a lot of fundamentalist churches, especially since we've been so public, they will object to Halloween, and they'll have things called trunk or treat, where they just have the poor kids go around, not even necessarily in costume, and get candy from the trunks of other parents' cars in the parking lot. You know, it's kind of pitiful, but they, you know, well, in my opinion, anyway.
All right, man. Cool. You locked into the Search Engine International. I'm your host, Brother Gocc. And at this point in time, the topic tonight is paganism, Wiccan witchcraft, Wicca. We have a high priest pagan, Steve, with us today. And at this point in the show, I'm going to introduce Elder Rakar to the show. Elder Rakar, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me clearly?
I'm hearing you clearly, man. How are you?
I'm blessed. Thank you, brother, for allowing me this evening to come on. Thank you. And I would like to say hi to Steve.
Hi. How you doing? Merry meet.
Okay. Bless you, brother.
Blessed be.
All
Thank
right. Yeah. So I just wanted to come in, Gocc. I was listening to the show.
Okay.
And Steve, excuse me, what is your full name, if you don't mind me asking you?
No, not at all. My full mundane name is Steve Rasmussen. That's Rasmussen. And I have an equally unpronounceable craft name, which is a magical name, Diuve, which is Diuveei. And that's I can explain that later. It's based on a dead language.
Okay. Well, let me tell you, I'm glad you came on because it was a dual purpose for having you on the show this evening. And by any means, we're not here to attack you or to demean you or anything, but, you know, all due respect to whatever you're dealing with, we do believe in the Bible. So I'm not here for a Bible debate. Actually, we invited you on because of our knowledge of, well, I've done some research on the religions of the earth. And last week, we actually had a pastor on, a pastor of a church on. And I said, you know what, the best thing we can do this week is let's invite someone who actually have knowledge of the origin of this Christian religion. You understand? Because all due respect to him, he was coming off in a condescending kind of way. And like you mentioned, like your partner mentioned earlier, saying, well, this is the way and no other way is the truth, without the knowledge of telling his parishioners and those that were amongst his parishioners that his religion was founded on paganism. So the best thing we can do is have a pagan come on and tell the truth with the origin of that particular religion, as far as Easter, Christmas, like you mentioned, which is the Roman Saturnalia.
Mm-hmm.
Even, and I know they don't know this either, but I wanted to mention the original worship of the sun,
mm-hmm.
Which was Sunday. That was stolen from pagans.
Well, yeah. In fact, every day of the week is named after one of the astrological planets. Well, I mean, originally in different languages.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
now,
Monday is Moon Day. Tuesday is actually Mars Day, and we actually, we use that. That's traditionally used in magic for timing spells, and I mean, that's not the only thing that the ancients used it for, but that really is quite a bit of the origin of it. And to me, I find that fascinating to see that people don't really realize that, even though it's right around us.
I'm perplexed how a lot of these Christians can come off in a pompous type of way and tell everyone that their true way is the light when they actually, the people they are attacking and going against is religion. They stole their religion from paganism.
Well, exactly. That's what a lot of us puzzle about, especially since a lot of us are very persecuted by them. My theory about it, honestly, is that it's like, you know what happens when you take, say, a river and really channel it down into a tight little nozzle. You get an extremely intense flow, like a fire hose. You get an extremely intense flow of water, and it can be very destructive, and it's very narrow and focused. Well, I think that's what happens when people who are spiritual, have genuine spiritual impulse, you know, as most people really naturally do. They channel it so tightly down into that, you know, it's one God, one book, one way of reading that book, one way of thinking about that God, and it's this one. It's like monoism, monotheism, monopoly. Anytime you see people saying there's only one way, well, you know, then they have to go around saying that every other way is evil. And
well, all due respect, we believe that there's one way.
Well, you might mean something different, though, from that.
Exactly. We believe it's one way, but the whole point about it is we understand that the religions that are taught today and the doctrines that are taught today are not founded on the truth contained in the Bible. There's no place in the Bible you can find Christmas. There's no place in the Bible you can find Easter. Christ or no one in the Bible, to tell you, I'm a Hebrew, okay? I am a Hebrew.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I study Hebrew. I know Hebrew. I've studied the Bible. And once you are awakened to truth and you read the Bible as it is written, outside of religious influence, you come to find out that what these people are saying have nothing to do with the Bible at all.
Yes.
And you understand?
Absolutely, yeah.
The shocking part of that, the shocking part of that is when we figure this out and we go to people and say, well, listen, it's not talking about that. They walk with blinders on. So other people reject the Bible because they believe that there's some double speaking going on.
Mm-hmm.
How can you tell somebody that my way is the only way when you're doing things that came from paganism, and the Bible actually speaks about the one God. It speaks about the Hebrews. It speaks about, you know, because the Gentiles, preferably the Gentiles, were dealing with polytheism. Like you were saying, like a lot of the polytheism that's going on in paganism today, or that you can trace it back to Europe. But before Europe, ancient Babylon, ancient Egypt. So it's not just European origin in paganism. You understand?
It's universal, and we believe it's universal because it's natural. Now, let me explain a little bit more about what we mean behind polytheism. It's not that we think that every god is separate and just associated with one tribe, that sort of thing, which is kind of the impression that I'll be honest, the Hebrew priests that edited the Old Testament seem to have tried to give. I think that in the New Testament you kind of see a different kind of one. You know, not saying that my one is more powerful than everybody else's one, but saying that all is one. You know, all beings are one, and that we're all united by spirit, and that includes the gods, and that includes.
I've read the New Testament, and I've taught the New Testament, and they go one and the same. But I'm not going to sit. There's nothing in the New Testament that deviates from the God of the Old Testament. That's another misnomer that's taught by Christians.
I guess I would say I find a different emphasis there in the teachings of Jesus from the teachings of Moses, say. But maybe that's...
You would?
In that sense that I just mentioned, yeah, I find that, for instance, Jesus often speaks in paradoxes, which, as ye sow, so shall ye reap. Easier for a rich man, for a camel and the needle and that sort of thing. And that's very magical. That's because that's, to us, we see that the whole universe is built around polarity, duality, oppositions, yin and yang, night and day, up and down, right and left. And to see that, which is kind of a duality, which is one reason, by the way, why many Wiccans worship a god and a goddess as their chief deity, because they're, calling upon that polarity. But now what the sages like Jesus will often do is twist that and say, well, look at it backwards, look at it upside down, and that's the way to wisdom, They're kind of drawing your attention to how we get trapped in those dualities.
Well, I do agree to the point where Christ was bringing the spirit of the law opposed to, and he was bringing the forgiveness of the law, but he didn't come to change what his Father sent him to do it. As far as what we know in the Bible and what we read, he even said himself, Matthew 5:17, think not that I've come to destroy the law or the prophets. I've come not to destroy but to fulfill. Now, what I have to ask you, because, there's a lot of information that came out here, and I just have some questions just for my sake now. But
sure,
because, because in the first couple of minutes, you both came on and y'all willed it out, and y'all were straight. Y'all came and said Easter and all those things, but we really want Christians out there to hear this, because it seems to me now. Let me tell you, I'm going to be straight. I'm a Hebrew. I believe in the Bible, like I said before. I believe that there is only one God. His name is Ahia, the God who parted the Red Sea and allowed our people to go free from the Egyptians who bound our people. All right?
Okay.
I also believe that the book is a book of prophecy, that the people that have been colonized by Europeans and have been taken down by the people all over the earth, the imperialists, the European powers, which are the Romans, which are really the high pagan, we believe that they're the original Romans. They're hiding themselves behind politics or whatever, and they have taken down the children of Israel, and we're in bondage once again. And I'm not going by allegory. This is prophecy according to the Bible. But I just want to let you know so we can be on equal terms of what we both believe. I listen to you. I want to ask you a few things based on some of the things you've said earlier. All right.
Go ahead.
All right. If you don't mind. And I'm not going to try to come against you or anything like that. I just got to ask you some questions here.
Yeah. Questions.
Now, there was a time, there was a time in which the pagans were burned at the stake.
Yes.
Now, we all know that history, predominantly during the Dark Ages.
Well, actually, predominantly known as the Renaissance, sadly, because starting then, but continuing especially even up through the 1600s. Yeah.
Yeah, and the reason why up to the 1600s, and I know this is not normally publicized, but there's a lot of skewed history of the Dark Ages. When the Roman Empire was taken down in 193 A.D. under Septimius Severus and Pescennius Niger, there was, believe it or not, a majority of black rule in Europe that's being hid by modern-day historians. Up until James I and VI. The reason the Europeans needed a renaissance or a rebirth is because at that time you had dark rule. And what was happening, we'll discuss that, what was happening and why certain people was being burned at the stake. But I want to ask you, at what point did pagans come from underground and present themselves back to public without the threat of being burned at the stake?
Well, it started really not until the early 1950s when in England the witchcraft law was repealed, the law that had made it illegal to be a witch. And at that time,
you said what year?
It was about 1954, I think. I might have that off by one or two. I'm bad with numbers, either 51 or 54.